gorgeouses, back again. Okay, so we are covering in this one, we are doing entities versus programs versus source fractals, because I didn't get to do it in the last one, so we're going to do this one this time. We are going to kick this off with a wonderful question from, of course, Aruntless Sa, which is one of our members here. And it's going to say, hi, with regards to the latest video where we learned there are 3 types of individual source fractals, entities, and programs. Is it possible that these entities reside inside an individual who is a source fractal? There are scenarios in which we say we are affected by some subconscious entity which needs to be removed or binded. So those entities and programs, are they different? So we're going to get on that one. Oh, hello. Sorry about that. So then we are going to go through, of course, what is everybody's opinion? How much is too much? Electronic devices, wireless devices. Hi, everybody. Hey, thanks for joining me once again. If you've been following all my lives today, you're a bloody trooper, because I know I've done hours worth of talking. So you're amazing. Thank you so much for coming back. Just as a reminder, if you're finding these conversations and these lives useful, please share them. Share the knowledge, share the love, and let's get everybody woken properly this time. So anyway, wireless devices, the radiation and everything from these, are they good for our bodies? Then we are going to go through Reiki. Is Reiki something that is even valid? Is it pointless? What should we do with it? We're going to go through some Reiki. And of course, we are going to go through with shielding techniques. Do we need to do this as we raise our frequency and raise our vibrations? And lastly, doing a reading for an entity. Is it something we want to do? How do we do a reading for an entity? Is it worth our time and is it worth our effort? So these are the topics of discussion we are going to be going with today. This will be my last live of the day. I did have some readings to get through, but I don't think I'm going to be able to get through them today. I just had far too many hours of just, yeah, let's teach you something. But tomorrow will be my day for readings, for personal, of course, development and so forth, and I will be doing those on my profile. So if you haven't added me on your profile yet, or on my profile, kulipup.source.truth. So if you type that in, you will find my profile. Please do add me. Click on the follow button, and so you can get a regular update on my lives, because that is where I do give a lot more personal guidance and so forth as well. Hi, Karim, my sweetheart. Hello. All right, so let's get this all kicked off and started. So firstly, we were going to go through entity versus program versus source fractal, and the brilliant question posted here by Aruntless Sa. Now, I'm going to try to make this live only 40 minutes or less. I know I've been atrociously bad today where I'm going on for like 2 hours, but we're going to try to make this 40 minutes or less on this one. Okay, so Aruntless Sa says, with regards to the latest video where we learned there are 3 types of individual, source fractals, entities, programs, is it possible that entities reside inside an individual who is a source fractal? Which is a great question. There are scenarios in which we say we are affected by someone's subconscious entity which needs to be removed or binded. So these entities and programs, are they different? Well, let's have a look here, and please feel free to comment. If you find that I'm speaking and it is like I'm still confused on that, then make your comment known, and I'll go through that for some further clarification as well. So firstly, I've got a couple of videos on this, by the way. If you want some real, like, more in-depth stuff or information, please head over to my YouTube channel, because there is a video that I have. It's called, Who Are You Speaking To? All right, who are you speaking to? Entity, program, or source fractal, or spirit. So if you want a little bit more in-depth information, I definitely recommend watching that video. So the 3 types of individuals: source fractals, entities, and programs. Well, what are they? Okay, so this is going to come from a gamer's perspective, or for the game of life. And if you are looking at them in terms of a game, it really, 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 really helps the understanding. Okay, because if I were to just come out and say like, hey, you think everybody's human, they're not. Most people would be like, what? But everybody looks the same. How do we tell? Is it even really something that isn't? Yeah, it's true. So the way I'm going to explain it, I'm going to explain this from a gamer's perspective. Now, if you have never played a game, I want you to try to use your imagination as to what you believe it is. Now, I'm sure most of everybody has played a video game specifically at some point. Or if you haven't played a video game ever in your life, I'm sure you know of them. If you don't know of video games, I really, really recommend simply going online. You can go on YouTube, and you can literally watch people play games all day. It is that boring, but there are some people who like it, each to their own. So, firstly, let's go through what a source fractal is, what an entity is, and what a program is. And then we're going to be able to answer this question in more detail. Okay, you say, yes, I believe not everyone is human. I believe I have seen someone shapeshift in front of me. That was in the beginning of my spiritual journey. I'm not surprised. Yeah, because the veil is being lifted. The frequency is getting harder to match for those who do know how to mask their appearance. So, okay, yeah, we got to stop believing that this stuff isn't real. We got to stop accepting that this is really happening and it's a real thing. Okay, so let's go through these types of individuals. Now, by all means, if you are just like, she is batshit crazy, I want you to get your pendulum out. Get your pendulum out. Connect to source truth, and you can literally ask the yes or no question. It's going to be easier than finding your frequency because you don't have to find a range of numbers. But just go, Kulipup, help me out with this. I really want to know, is this person a source fractal, an entity, or a program? Get your pendulum out and then see what the answer is. Alrighty, so a source fractal, let's start with a source fractal. Now, a source fractal is an immortal soul, alright? And sorry, my cap's on my paper, 1 second. That's right, we are using Kulipup's yellow paper guidance because this is how it works. So, I'm going to draw out a really dodgy picture of the world. Okay? That is the world. Okay? This is where we are all playing the game of life. And I want you to think of the game of life as a huge multiplayer online game. Okay? Just like World of Warcraft. So if you log online right now and you type in World of Warcraft, you can pay a subscription, and then you build your avatar, you build your whatever it is that you do. I've never played it, so I'm only assuming, to be honest. But you build whatever you want, and then you go out there and play your game as this avatar. So that's basically what happens. Now, we have 3 types of individuals that come in. Okay? We have 3 different types of people who play in this game of life. The first type of player is the source fractal, and I'm going to write this backwards for you. I did that backwards. So you have a source fractal. So this guy's your source fractal. Now, what is a source fractal? Well, a source fractal is a... Oh, and I'm going to make this... I'm writing backwards here, so we're going to work with what we got, okay? So a source fractal, basically, I've written heaven, okay? So let's say that this is the world and this is our universe. So these are the stars, there's the sun that's over here, you know, and the moon. This is our universe. Outside of this universe is heaven, or is source information, or source of all creation, which is source energy, right? Okay. So a source fractal comes from source energy, right? A source fractal comes from source energy and comes into this universe and is born into this universe through the womb of another source fractal. So a female source fractal is the only one that can give birth to another source fractal. So, or an incarnated earth angel is another way of saying it as well. So you've got that. Now, the next kind of individual you have is an entity. Okay, we'll say this guy is an entity over here. Now, nope, I'm sorry, I'm going to explain this a different way. So we have a source fractal, of course, who then incarnates into the world. You are, if we're looking at the World of Warcraft, you are the person who has just paid for the subscription. If heaven is your living room and your regular everyday kind of thing, you've just paid a subscription to enter in to the game of life, or also World of Warcraft. So you are playing this game, okay? Now, what do we have when we are playing in a game such as World of Warcraft? Well, you've got two other kinds of individuals. You have programs. Now, these guys would be programs. These guys do not come from heaven, okay? That's an X. That is an X. Programs don't come from heaven. They were originated within this world. They were born into this world, but they do not have an immortal soul. Okay? So when this game ends, so do they. Because they are literally placed within this game as fillers, if you'd want to call it, right? So for example, if you're playing World of Warcraft, let's say there's only 2 people playing the game. Right? Only 2 people in the entire existence are playing World of Warcraft. It's pretty empty. Right? They could be walking around the imaginary world that they're in for ages and not see another person because one person loaded up this level and the other person loaded up that level. Right? So it's really lonely. So the game creators were just like, well, that sucks. It's going to take ages for you to do anything. So what they did was they got a bunch of programs. And so they placed, there is approximately 5,000, no, it's less now, 1,700, sorry, these are all programs now. So because the creator of this game was just like, okay, yeah, no, we can't have just one person playing, right? Because nobody will ever see each other. So we have now about 1,700 programs for every one source fractal player, for every one player who paid the subscription from heaven to come in here and play this game. Now these programs, again, they are fillers. All right, they're just fillers. They literally, okay, are programs created in a lab by the government? No, they are born. They are born because, again, this is a very sophisticated game of life. All right, every human has been born, well, until I get into the other things, but every human has been born. Okay, who comes out, you know, babies and so forth, right? So there's 1,700 of these programs per every one player, and that helps to make your game a little bit more exciting, you know, so that you don't have to be the person that works at the bank to get your money. That's probably a program. That's there, the teller going, hello, how are you? You know, you don't have to be the person who is building lamps. Because, well, you can choose to be the person that's building lamps, but otherwise, other people, these programs are doing all of these things for you so you can experience the game of life. Now, the other kind of individual you have is what we call the entities. Now, programs, they follow their program. An entity is a little bit different, okay? Because an entity is, again, an individual who is part of this universe. Entities did not come. Entities did not come from heaven either, okay? They are part of this universe, right? Sorry, let's get this. Johan, you say, please explain the level 2 P matrix. Okay, or are you just talking about the level 2 part of the matrix, or just, I've not had the P part in the matrix, so I don't know if that's a typo or exactly what you mean by that, Johan. So please clarify that question for me so I can answer it a little bit better. So, okay, you say, oh, so a program is actually a birthed human. Yes, it is for the most part. However, there is a lot of technicality that goes into clones and everything, which I will explain a little bit more about clones, but we just need to get the base understanding of this part first. So, we have entities are not a part of heaven. They never were a part of heaven. They are also birthed within this universe. But I want you to think of it this way. Programs are birthed on Earth with you as a source fractal. Entities can be birthed anywhere in the universe. So if they are born on a different planet over here, let's say they come from the Pleiades system, let's say they are from Saturn or another planet. An entity can come from these different planets, but they can also interact with people on Earth. Okay? Level 2 matrix from Johanna. Thank you very much, honey. That one is going to be a little bit more in depth for level 2. Now, I do believe I have a video on level 2 as well. So I'm going to suggest that you go onto my YouTube channel to have a look at that, because I explained level 1 and then I went into level 2 and then level 3 to 7. Right? So we've got like loads of information on that. Not that I'm trying to avoid your question or anything there, Johanna. It's just a long topic. The first level where we are two-headed body plugged in this game. Level 2 is literally this. Level 2 is heaven. We aren't actually physically plugged into any sort of game. It is our consciousness that is transferred into the game. So you can kind of look at it as like, oh, we're plugged in. We've got a virtual headset on just for easy understanding. But it's actually a shitload more sophisticated than that. It's literally your thought frequency that has been transferred into the mind, and a soul contract is made, and that soul contract is called your DNA. Right? So to go from level 2, you're from here to basically here. Right? Iris, are death angels and fallen angels source fractals? No, angels of death are a little bit different. Fallen angels, I wouldn't call them fallen, as they are simply source fractals. Angels are all source fractals because we all come from, again, heaven, up here, right? But I'm going to be doing a separate video on specific angels of death. I know, Iris, you've been waiting for me to do this for a little while, but it is coming, I promise you. How do entities make it into our world? Oh, sorry, am I missing some? Orke, you say, yes, clones, I want to know more about them. Yep, we will get to that one, my sweetheart. The first level, we are two-headed body plugins. Not quite. Ebony, how do entities make it into our world? They are born into it at the same time. Okay, they are born into our world at the same time. Johanna, I understand. Oh, thank you so much, sweetheart. I'm sorry. It's just going through the levels takes a lot of understanding. I wish all of this was just easy to whip through in just a minute. But anyway, okay. So I think I'm getting a little bit confused with my whole mismatched diagram here. Anyway, so let's go back to it here. So we've got our game of World of Warcraft, and I, as a person who lives in heaven, and we're just going to say my living room is heaven, I have chosen to go into this game. So now I've paid my subscription, and now I get to log in. So, there we go. Kulipup has now been incarnated into this vessel of a baby. Okay? And then I start to grow up. Now, source fractals, because we are the ones playing the game, we are the ones that created the game, and we are the ones that are powering the game, we have our memories wiped. Okay? So that is why so many people, we do not remember our past lives. We have to go deep within ourselves to get that information, because it doesn't leave us, because it's literally our saved history with all of the games that we've played. It's all there. The information's all there. We just got to go get it. But every time we incarnate, we forget everything because our memory is wiped, or we only are allowed this much of our consciousness to enter into these human vessels so that we can play the game. Otherwise, how boring would that be to be in total understanding of who you are, but be raised in a a body or a vessel that does not accommodate your entire consciousness. It would be very, very, very frustrating. That's why people don't incarnate as animals. You know, some people are like, oh, I was a bird in my past life. No, you weren't. There is no way a human consciousness can be within a bird. They are far too lower frequency. Or their conscious level, they can't fit the amount of information that we require in order to play this game accurately and successfully, right? So we don't incarnate into animals. We are just always incarnated as humans. Now that is how we do incarnate. We always incarnate as humans. We do not incarnate as other beings from other lives or other worlds. We only ever incarnate as a human being. Now, the programs, as I mentioned, are fillers. Because what would life be like if we had nobody around us, right? It would be very solitary, which we did have this at one point. However, it is literally, it's slower. The development is slower. So we have programs that are born with us. That's why you have, let's say you'll have you'll be born in your family and you're a source fractal, but your brother and your sister, they may be programs because they're filling in the gaps for you, okay, with people around you. And then you have just random people all over the place that you never really see. You have a load of acquaintances. You've seen them before, but you don't interact with them. So they're just there. Like, you know, in a movie, oh, God's better. When you're watching a movie, all the stand-ins, all the people walking around, the effort just filling in the background, those are programs, okay? Now, a programmed individual is literally that. They are programmed. Their consciousness is not like ours, okay? If they were programmed, if their role in this game of life is literally to, Iris, sorry, you say, can we be grass in a past life? Nope. What about starseeds? Starseeds are entities, but we'll go on to entities in just a moment, my sweetheart. So if you are, oh crap, where was I? So we were just on programs. Yes, so a program, basically, if they were born of, or their purpose, because everything has a purpose in this game. Just think about, again, World of Warcraft. Everything has a purpose, right? That shed over there, it's there to fill in and make the landscape look, there's trees here and there. Everything has a purpose. Everything works in tandem with each other. The same thing with this game and this earth. So when a program is born, they are either there to cause fear, they are there to cause pain, suffering. They are there to give you a hint, you know, or a clue. They are there to lead you into another part of the game, right? Everyone has their purpose. However, what you find, though, is when you are coming across an individual who is a program, they can't seem to deviate away from their thoughts. Okay, so, Beta, you say, do programs know what they are? Yes. Yes, a true program definitely knows what they are. It depends on what kind of program they are, but yeah, the majority of programs know exactly what they are. However, they cannot tell you. The same way, like, you know, when you watch The Matrix, and I think there was a point when Neo, he was talking to him, he's just like, you're a program, let's go see the Frenchman. The Frenchman knew exactly what he was. He knew exactly what he was. And if you remember the Frenchman, he's just like, oh, I wrote it myself. He made the chocolate cake to give the lady an orgasm, right? He understood energy. He wrote that program. He wrote that spell. The Frenchman also said, remember when he got really pissed off and he's just like, it is a game. It is a game. He's telling you it's a game. He knows he's a program. He knows he's an entity. Or he knows he's a program, sorry. Anywho, so that is a program doesn't change their thought process. So if you've got somebody who is programmed to cause fear within you, you will find that it doesn't matter how much logic you throw at this individual. It does not matter how much evidence you throw at this individual. It doesn't matter at all what you say to this individual. They can never seem to change their mind. And they always work off of fear. One program we all know that is just like, yeah, that makes sense, is Donald Trump. Or think of any politician, right? Politicians are all programs. because source fractals get so far before they realize that they can't do anything. And they either fall susceptible to the corruption or they quit because they're like, wow, this is all bullshit. It's like, yeah. So if you have Donald Trump is a program, okay? Great example. You can, and you know how you're just like with Trump, you're just like, how can one person be that stupid? With so much evidence thrown at him all the time, how can he remain that stupid? And genuinely so. It's not like you can see him calculating and devising a master plan. No, he's just genuinely very stupid. And it doesn't matter how much education you throw at him, how many valid opinions or facts you throw at him, how much logic you throw at him, he will still be like, make America great again. And he repeats the same shit over and over and over and over and over again. Because he's a program. He cannot deviate away from this behavior he has. Right? And that's where you have a lot of other programs. Just the same way, if you have a program who is let's say they are a program of, they bring joy or love to an individual, right? They are the kind of programs that will continually do things that promote love and joy regardless of whatever the frick is going on. Even if they, like, for example, if they were getting scammed continually, like, you know, like, oh, I'm a Nigerian prince and please send me, I have $1 million that is there for you, but my uncle just needs to transfer the money. You know those scams, those email scams that you get? Right? And you have some people who are just like, oh, I believe it. And they keep going over and over and over again, even though you're just like, it's a scam. What are you doing? Stop it. And they're like, it's fine. I believe them over and over and over again. Program, right? Cannot change the thought process. And they just keep going. Keep going, keep going, keep going. You'll find that there's a lot of programs that are doing a lot of mundane work. You know, those kinds of individuals that can do the exact same thing for like 50 years and not deviate away from it. And not change or not develop. They can stay in the same position for 50 years and not do a damn thing else different and be perfectly content. Program. Because as a source fractal, you have a need to develop. You have a need to go somewhere. Right? To do something. To expand your mind in some way. And if you don't, you feel very shitty. Right? You feel stagnant and you feel horrible. It is that part of you that wants to develop, and we cannot help but want to develop as source fractals. Programs don't really care. They're always the same no matter what. So let's read some comments here. Patricia, you say, I have been working on understanding the rules of this game or making my own rules. Right? Well, the rules of this game, laws of nature. If you look into the laws of nature, or natural law, those are the rules of the game that you have to follow, right? As long as you follow those, you'll be fine. I made a video based on the arc, the new arc that I wrote, that Kulipup and I wrote. They all follow the laws of nature and natural law. So if you follow those laws, then do what the hell you want, right? Because nothing bad will happen to you if you follow those laws. So definitely, those are the rules. I call them the rules to the game of life, but really it is the arc. Orke, if politicians are programs, are doctors, lawyers, dentists, and the 1% also programs? No offense to anyone in these professions, it's just a general question. Yeah, there are programs and entities everywhere. The 1% consists of many entities, lots and lots of entities. But we're going to go through entities in just a moment, and you can understand what I mean by entities, right? So, laws of nature, is that the laws of attraction? Ebony, you say laws of nature, is that the law of attraction? It is, the law of attraction is literally one of the laws of nature. It really is, because it's literally due onto you so that it can be done onto yourself. It is the mirror effect, right? Your world will reflect what's in your heart. Just like another one of laws of nature is, if you walk off a cliff, you're going to fall, right? That's a law of nature. It's just going to happen. Unless you are developing your Horions or your gift of flight. But the general fact of the matter is that if you take a machete and you go the laws of the universe, the laws of nature will mean that your arm comes off. It is the consequence to your action, right? That's what it is. So this is what a program does, though. Going back to programs, they do not deviate away from their program, okay? Or another way to look at it is the new Jumanji movie that went through. And I always say it, when they all go into the game, they're all like, yeah, and they try to talk to the guy that comes to pick them up in the Jeep, and they're trying to get information out of him, and he's just like, he just keeps repeating the same thing over and over and over again. Jumanji, the new Jumanji. If you haven't seen it, I really recommend watching it because it gives you a really good, like, I know it's a kid's movie and bar the theatrics, but I enjoyed that movie. I'm like, they are telling the truth in plain sight. It was great, so I totally recommend that. Now, an entity though. An entity is a sophisticated program. This is why we say your subconscious and your consciousness are entities. Okay? An entity is a starseed, so an individual who was born of another universe, who has incarnated on this world. An entity is like Agent Smith in the Matrix. Okay? Now, what makes an entity different from a program? Well, an entity has a goal, has a purpose too. If that entity's purpose is for fear, pain, and suffering, then they can use whatever means necessary they want to, as long as their ending goal results in fear, pain, and suffering. So a great example of an entity, we've been speaking to some ladies today and of course last week in regards to leaving relationships that don't serve you, right? And these ladies were involved with entities. Now an entity, if their goal is to cause you pain, fear, and suffering, what they can do is, at the beginning of a relationship, they can be really, really charismatic. They cannot give you the feelings of love, but they can mimic feelings of lust, feelings of infatuation within you, feelings of very deep pulls, because they know that you are sick and that you cannot disconcern your feelings. So many people are just like, they feel infatuation and lust, and they think it's love. So your entity is able to mimic these feelings within you, and then you then are like, oh wow, I love this person, right? But again, their goal is to cause you pain and suffering because that's their purpose. So what they'll do is they'll manipulate you to make you feel a certain emotion for them, only because that's the hook. Then when they have you, that's when all of the manipulation really kicks in, and then the fear and the suffering kicks in because they have been able to do their goal. So a program to a source fractal is like a source fractal playing checkers with a program. You know what you got, it's either black and white, you go forward or you go back. There's no changing. When you're dealing with an entity, oh, now you're playing chess. Okay? Because that entity is now able to strategize, is able to change the way they speak to you, the way they interact with you, in order to achieve their overall goal of checkmate. Right? This is why we gotta be sharp as shit and not let these little bastards get to you. Sorry, I really hate entities. Hate entities. Evan, you say, I love Jumanji after watching it for the second time, right? Because you see the silliness in it. So please watch it. Wonderful. So yes, an entity can be very manipulative. Okay, they can manipulate you into the overall goal, thus checkmating you in your game of life. So you have to be really like on your stuff. You have to be aware. You have to be noticing things, noticing their behavior, to be like, I see what you did there, you little slimy little bastard. You know, your entity of fear, your subconscious and your conscious minds causing confusion and causing fear. These are entities. Why? Because they don't do the same thing over and over again. As you evolve, so do they, right? They change their tactics, but their overall goal is still fear, right? Still bloody fear. Orke, you say, wow, I have dated entities. This makes so much sense to me now. Right, though? Ebony, you say, oh my goodness, what a hell of an explanation for entities. How many entities to one source fractal? There are approximately same, so 1,700, about equal. 1,700 entities per source fractal and 1,700 programs per source fractal, and bring those together. It used to be more. It used to be 5,000 in total of entities and programs per one source fractal. However, since the harvest is going down, that is of course reducing too. So now it is in total, what is that? 3,400 per every one. Because this is what the harvest period is doing. It's basically flushing out all of these entities of hate, fear, and suffering, and all these programs, right? That is one of the reasons why I'm like, you need to raise your frequency, because entities and entities and programs remain in the lower frequencies. It is only the very sophisticated entities that can raise above it, but they can't raise above a certain level. So if you are in a frequency that is of a program or an entity of fear and hate and suffering, it means that you are going to be removed from the game of life, because you are identified on the same frequency of one of these programs, right? Because we don't want any source fractals to be removed from the game. However, if you are identifying yourself as a program, then this is what's basically going to happen. Okay, that's why I'm like, hey everybody, raise your frequency. Let the game, let the world, let the universe recognize that you are not an entity of fear, pain, or suffering, or a program of fear, pain, and suffering, and that you are literally an entity of love and light, that you are the divine being that you are, right? So that's what we got there. Now, going on to, so if we're all kind of knowing what the difference between source fractal entities and so forth. Oh, by the way, source fractals, there is no such thing as death. Okay, with a source fractal. If you have a source fractal spirit and you are in a DNA contract right now, it means that you are immortal. Yes, your body will perish, but your consciousness simply transfers, you go back to heaven. Just like if you were to die in World of Warcraft, you take your headset off and you're like, ah, crap. You go have a pee, you go get a cup of coffee, and then you come back on, you put your stuff back on you and you go back into the game, right? You didn't die, not for real, your character just died, that's all. But you are an immortal being. Now, an entity can also die and reincarnate again, but only whilst this universe is still in existence. They don't go back to heaven. So when they die, their consciousness just gets immediately transferred into a new body. Okay? Normally it is the body of a program as well, because a program is like a shell. It can be literally hopped from one to the next, right? An entity can do this. So an entity is again of this universe. A program, however, a program does not have either a consciousness that can be transferred, nor one that goes to heaven. So a program, when a program's life ends, it ends. There is no contacting them in the dead or in the ethereal. There is no nothing. Their energy gets returned back to the universal energy and is recycled into something new. However, when this universe ends, that is when an entity's consciousness is then recycled and put back into the universal energy. However, a source fractal, when this universe ends, we're like, that's cool, we'll go into a different one, right? Because we're immortal. So let's get some questions here. Patricia, you say you cannot control how others behave, but we can learn how to protect ourselves. We definitely can. We can learn where to put our energy and where to put our focus. Iris, you say that explains why I am scared of people. Don't be scared of people. When you realize that it is you that is the player in this game, that it is you that holds the power, your focus is you playing the game. Place your focus somewhere else. That's all that's required. You don't need to cater to entities and their negativity. You don't need to play with them. Play your own game. Focus on something else. Focus on love and light and positivity. You're going to have a bloody well better time. Iris, because they're not real. But yes, sometimes we cannot connect with individuals. And when we can't connect with them, we just leave them alone. We don't worry about them. Susan, yes, amen to that. Okay, excellent. I hope it was a good point. Ebony, you say, what about children entities and programs? Can they be saved or changed in this game? Children, yes. If they are children, whether they be entity or program, if they are under the age of 13, if you flood that kid with love and light, then they will literally be love and light. They will raise frequency with the earth, with yourself, and they will be with you for the remainder of this game, or for the remainder of however long your game is going to be, right? So they're going to be absolutely fine. However, if they are over the age of 13 and they are still, or they are not at the age of maturity, and they are really terrible, you know, in terms of they are clearly full of hate and full of fear and full of anger and frustration, and they are an entity or a program, let's say that they are 18 or above, 19, 20 or whatnot, then yeah, there's a very good chance that they will be taken if they are in so much negativity. However, if because they, let's say they are 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, they're still with you, right, in your home, and you are providing great love, then your energy will be transferred to them and they will survive the harvest, right? As long as you are doing the right things to survive the harvest with, right? So I don't want you to worry about children. Children are absolutely fine. Now, if you have any children who die before the age of 13, they were always programs to begin with, okay? They were never source fractals. And I know that helped me understanding my own son's death as well. Like, at the time I didn't understand it. You know, I just thought the world was being cruel and horrible. But then when I understood, he was a program. What was I meant to learn? Loss, suffering, and how to overcome this, how to still live and how to still go on and get through the depression. That was my lesson that I had to learn with the loss of my son. But I've learned that lesson. I understand it. I've lived it. So now I can move past it and I can still live happily, right? So any children who pass before the age of 13, they were always meant to do that. There is a lesson that needs to be learned for you. It's a hard freaking lesson. I am in no way saying that was an easy lesson. You know, the tears I cried, you know, having to watch the little casket go down, you know, having to receive condolences from people, having to watch my husband be somewhat ignored because they only ever concentrate on the mother when a child dies. It was hard stuff, you know. My heart was broken in so many places. So having the understanding of like, he was a program. He was literally a part of my game of life. I went through the suffering. I understand what it is. Now, because I understand the suffering and the emotions, now I can help guide others through it as well. Right? So bring us all into understanding so we don't have to go through these kinds of lessons anymore. Beta, you say, big aha moment for me. My nephew was a program. Unfortunately, yes, if he passed when he was younger than 13, it sucks, but it's the truth. It is. Ebony, you say, I'm sorry you had to go through that. I lost my first nephew when he was 5. I'm so sorry. Oh, so hard to... Susan, you say, so hard to lose a child, but we can move forward in time of understanding and loving. Yes, definitely. And for all of you who have lost children out there, oh my gosh, my heart is with you. My heart is with you, as it will always be with you. And Orkay, I'm so sorry for your loss, Kulipup. Don't worry about it. Thank you, though, sweetheart. Don't worry about it, though. I have totally come to terms with this. But this is just an example for you in terms of children. I can speak about it freely. I can speak about it openly because I have full understanding of what it is. And I have full understanding of what death is, right? And what I'm here for and what my lessons to be learned were, right? So we can all live in happiness. Okay, so that is what we have in terms of that. Now, it says, is it possible that entities reside inside an individual who is a source fractal? Yes. Yes, that is there. That is there for sure. It depends on how susceptible that source fractal is. For example, your subconscious and your conscious entities, they are real. And I mean, I know it sounds weird because we think of them as imaginary, like they're just kind of energy or thoughts in our head. No, my darlings. Get your clairvoyancy going. Get your clairvoyancy and go into the ethereal. And when you see creepy women and creepy men standing around you, that's your entity. Right? My entity is weird. Like my old conscious entity, because I no longer have it anymore. It was so odd. It was a woman that was pitch black with porcelain black skin, but long, wavy blonde hair. Like proper long, wavy blonde hair. And I was like, who the shit is that? And when I say porcelain black, I mean like pitch black, like onyx black. And it was creepy because I'm like, who the frick is that woman always sitting in the corner? Where is she? What is she? And it wasn't until I asked the questions that I'm like, that's your conscious entity. I'm like, holy shit, that's what's freaking sorry. I don't mean to cuss. But then when you see them, you're like, that's what the frick has been whispering in my ear. Ugh. It gives you the heebie-jeebies. And then when you see your freaking subconscious entity, and my subconscious entity, again, black porcelain, black skin, eyes that could be very red, you know, just proper demon looking. And then you're like, what the shit? And then when you feel them on you, when you feel them around your chest, when you feel them graze your vessel, and you're just like, oh, yuck, get away from me, right? It's so foul. So these entities, yes, they can reside into you. There's been plenty of people where I've had to remove literal dolls because the entity was able to implant a massive doll within them that was able to control things going on. And I'm like, holy shit. You know, the stuff you learn, it's really, really creepy. Now, in those scenarios, now you can't have another individual's entity enter you. In terms of reptilian and other kind of entities, like alien entities, some of them can be passengers. They can kind of lay in the background. There's an episode of this show called Black Mirror, and I forget what it was, but it was the one where a guy signed away his life in prison, and for his family, he went on death row, but they allowed him to transfer his consciousness into like basically a hologram, so he could be repetitively electrocuted for the rest of his life, so that or for the rest of his existence, and his family was taken care of or something. But at the end of it, it showed that the mother was in the daughter's head, just kind of observing. That is what an entity can do in a source fractal, just simply sit there and observe. And then you have your conscious and subconscious entities that literally whisper in your ear and incite you to make decisions. Oh, sorry, entities are so gross. They're really gross when you actually see them. Okay, what about unborn children, like miscarriages? Are they programs too, or do they bring a different lesson to learn? Unborn children, like like miscarriages, they definitely are programs. They do come with just a lesson to learn as well. It is a lesson of loss, it is a lesson of heartache, and it is a lesson of perseverance that comes with unborn children. So again, the ones with kids are the hardest freaking lessons to go through, but they do grow us. And I know it sucks. It sucks. But they do grow us. Angie, you say, I had a doll. Yes, you did. Would dolls explain mental illness? Hartwick, you say, would dolls explain mental illness? No, they don't explain mental illness. However, if you are going through depression, and if you are going through bipolarism, if you're like... sorry about that. If you're going through those kinds of mental disease, then yes, a doll or any of these entities, implants, they don't create it. However, they fuel it. They fuel it. Okay? So you know people who are in a very, very deep depression and they find it really difficult to come out of that deep depression? That's basically, if you've got a doll, or if you're in consistent patterns of negativity, there's a chance that you have a doll inside of you, right? So they can mess with a lot of stuff. Alrighty. But they don't explain it, but they just perpetuate mental illness. Ebony, I used to have and sometimes still get sleep paralysis. In the background, I can hear demonic laughter and taunting. Is this my entity revealing itself? It frickin' sure... yes, it is. That is definitely your entity that you're hearing. However, if you are going through sleep paralysis, that is you're ready to astral project. So now I should do another, I already did a live lesson on astral projection, but I think I should do probably another one as everybody's getting really, really high up there and so forth. Possibly if everybody's strong enough now, I can invite you to astral project to me, or I'll astral project to you, and we'll see if it works like that. But I know it takes a lot more control. But yes, sleep paralysis. Many people don't realize that it's because your ability is astral projection. Your body is calm enough, and your mind is just waiting to get up. Iris, what about abortion? Abortion, do not worry. Abortion is literally your choice. As a baby, a soul doesn't actually come into the mother's womb until about 6 months or so. You have to be pretty good in your second trimester. The brain has to be at a good point of development before a soul can come in. So any fetus before, like, the 6-month period is pretty much a program. It's just cells that are put together, and they're, for people who are just like, oh, that baby, from when it's a cell, it's a life, it's a soul. It's not. A soul, a contract literally cannot be made until the brain has developed enough to at least put a little bit of your energy in it. Otherwise, it's just cells. It's just skin cells at that point. So, yes, if you want to have an abortion, you can do so, and do so freely, and know that it is simply a program. Or just a series of cells. However, if you are having an abortion after the 6-month period, or you're choosing to terminate a pregnancy after 6 months, then, to be honest with you, it depends on your timeline. If you're a high-frequency individual like myself, then there would be a chance of that happening. However, if I'm low-frequency, then you really don't have to worry, because that kid would still be a program, because your timeline would be very obvious. So no source fractal will be like, yeah, I'm going to incarnate just so I can die in 5 seconds. Nah. they wouldn't even accept that. Source fractals, when they come into a vessel or a body, they already have seen the life of this body. So you cannot see the life of a body if they have no life. Right? So I don't want you to really worry about that one. What do you suggest for this? Of any demonic sleep paralysis. What I suggest that you do is practice astral projection when you are awake. Okay? You do that by visualizing, by being ready to get up, by learning how to get up. What is the feeling like? What does it feel like in your mind? What does it feel like when you are projecting? Right? Because what will happen is when you get to a point of sleep paralysis, you will be so acutely aware of what's going on that you will either simply get up and look your stupid person in the eye and just be like, F you! Freaking fry you up in the corner, laugh at me, look shit. I really, really I do not like entities whatsoever, you can tell. You can either do that, or you can just be like, it is sleep paralysis. You can then go inside your body again, wake it up, and come back out of it, right? It's not very difficult to release yourself from when you know what's happening, right? It really, really is easy. So it's just about practicing. So practice now while you can, Ebony. Practice now and understand what it is that is happening whilst you are awake. And the more you do it, it becomes automatic when you sleep. I astral project in my sleep. I'm on defense in my sleep. I literally go to people in my sleep and I'm like, oh, hello. And then, kill entities because I'm really defensive. That's why, oh my gosh, I had to tell some people, I'm like, I know it seems like sleep is an easy place to get people. You don't want to come to me when I'm sleeping because I start deleting shit really quickly. I have no oh, I don't like you. You're gone. And I literally use my energy to fry things. And then I'll wake up and just be like, oh shit, maybe I should have been a little bit more hesitant. So yeah, don't come to me in my sleep unless we have prearranged this, alright? Okay, hello everybody. Ebony, you say, I'm ready for astral projection. Excellent. Orke, you say, oh, so if an abortion happens after 6 months, then that's a program, not a source fractal, right? Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. Unless you are super high energy and you left it completely open, right? But at that point, as soon as you've made the decision to keep the child, then you would have a source fractal be born. So, for example, if I wanted another baby, which I definitely do not, I'm not willing that into existence. So, if I wanted to have another baby, then it would basically either come out a source fractal or come out, or whatever, right? Whatever I willed it to be so. However, if I chose to get an abortion, then no, then it's fine too. Then it would just be a program. My cat's ass is huge. She gets bigger during the winter because all she does is eat and she doesn't go outside. So yes, she's big. You're welcome, Ebony, sweetheart. Beta, you said you mentioned children with disabilities are programs. Are those mental and physical? Is abortion advisable when doctors suspect Down syndrome? How often do they misdiagnose those? Well, to be honest, doctors misdiagnose everything all the freaking time, right? All the time. Children with disabilities are programs. They are either programs or entities, okay? If they are born with a physical disability. Now, if you suspect your child to be born with Down syndrome, and it is something you don't want to do. Again, I respect everybody's opinion. Some people will be like, no, have the baby. And other people will say, no, I'm not ready for that. It really does depend, because if you are to have a child and they have Down syndrome, best know that you were meant to have this child with Down syndrome. You are meant to have a child with disability, because that is the lesson that you need to learn in that moment. Whether that be temperance, whether that be humility, whether that be the heartache, or so forth, there is something that will grow your soul, grow your spirit in some way or another with this child having this disability. But they will either be a program or an entity, because a source flare cannot be born into this world with a disability, because that inhibits your game. Okay? You can get a disability. That's totally open. That's totally open. But you are born fit and healthy. That's for sure. Now, if you're asking me whether it's advisable for you to have it, that is totally your opinion. That is totally something that is within your own journey as to what it is you feel that is right and what you want to do at the time. So I cannot give a comment on that, because that is a very, very, very personal choice to the individual that is having the baby, or to the individuals that are having a baby. So I can't give you any advice on that one, my dear. I'm very, very sorry about that. Angelique, your cat is a bigger version of mine. Yeah, my cat's fat. She's beautiful, but she's fat. Do we choose programs to incarnate with us to help us evolve? Yeah, we do. We see literally the life path and the life story of who we are, right? I looked at my own before I came into this world, and what I saw was I had a choice. Well, I had a few different life paths to go down. I had, of course, the life path where I woke up, and that's when I started writing my own script, which is great. So it's like, wonderful, this actually happened, and I'm happy I took that path. Then I had the other path where I met my twin flame, and we had our babies and we did our things, except for I died at 34 because I didn't wake up, and he died at 36 because he didn't wake up. So we had that path. And then we had the other path where we didn't get together. At that point, I would have been very, very successful in finance, but I would have been a raging alcoholic, and fairly promiscuous as well, apparently. And my hubby would have gotten caught up in the not-so-healthy life of UK street life, and would no doubt have not been... No, I will be honest, he would have gotten caught up in some sort of rubbish, as many unfortunate black men do, and would not have had the freedoms that he has now. Put it that way. So we had options, but I'm glad we got to this one. Okay. But yes, programs do incarnate with us to help us evolve. And because I saw my entire life, I saw the programs that were there. All right? It's all the same thing. RuPaul, you say, what about the child born with a hole in his heart? However, hole is closed by surgery. Nope, doesn't matter. You are born physically fully intact. If you are a source fractal, you are not born with any defects. You are not born with anything. Now, here's the thing, though. You have a source fractal who says, oh, I was born with a hole in my heart. Now, who are you trusting at that time? Are you trusting doctors who say, oh, this child has a hole in their heart, so we're going to do surgery? Now, are you there in the surgery? Do you see what's going on in the surgery? Because if you don't, I wouldn't trust a damn thing. Don't trust a damn thing. The medical industry, this goes on into Orke wanting to know about clones. They do that all the time. The technology to clone a human is vast. You want to know who's a clone right now? Dave Chappelle. Chris Rock. Who else is a clone? A lot of people in entertainment are clones. The Queen of England, her body currently is a clone, and she's getting ready to transfer into Kate Middleton. The process has already begun. There's clones everywhere, right? There's clones absolutely bloody everywhere. So, anyway, I'm just saying that if you have a child, an infant, who's just like, oh yes, I was born with a hole in my heart. I'm like, if you're a source fractal, no, you weren't. You may have been born, and you may have had something not quite in that moment. Like, for example, I was born perfectly healthy, but I developed pneumonia at a very, very, very young age, and I did almost die as a baby, but I didn't, because I wouldn't have died anyway. Just the same way, if you're born with a hole in the heart as a source fractal, you're going to live, right? It's just part of the story that you go in. I hope that makes sense, right? I trailed off a little bit there. Orke, you say, what happens to us when we have surgery? Does our soul leave our body and discuss our path with our guide or counselor? No, it depends on what's happening, right? If you die during that surgery and you have an hour-body experience, then no, we generally go, no, get back in. You still need to learn your lessons, get back in, because the pull of love, emotion, that literally comes out of you. If you're having a near-death experience, and you actually see your guide, you see your soul cluster group, sometimes it makes people want to commit suicide because they feel like, that's my home. I want to go there. I don't want to do this anymore. Life is too hard. The negativity is getting too much with me. And they literally don't want to, they commit suicide to try to go back home. And we're like, no, 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 no. So your guides are all this like, oh shit, they're having a near-death experience. Everybody shut up. Like, nobody say a word, don't move, don't let them notice us in any way, shape, or form, so that they don't want to come home yet. So no, you don't have a discussion. You do have a discussion with your guides, either in the waking, like as you are speaking to me, as I speak to your guides here, because we all have the ability to do so. All we have to do is raise our frequency enough to do it. Otherwise, we speak to them when we're dead and when we're over in the ethereal, right? And then we have a great conversation. But other than that, no, we stay where we are. Iris, you say, but I was born with one kidney, you know. You were born with two. Iris, you have two kidneys. You're just one started to not function. But you're born with two. But just one starts to die. That's all. So you are born full and whole. After that, that's when stuff happens. She's born with two perfectly fine kidneys. Yeah, you were born with two perfectly fine kidneys. Okay. Okay, sorry, I know I'm off topic, but I just had this come to me after seeing the surgery question. Yeah, no worries. Beta, you say, something totally weird just happened. The live turned into a video game. What was that? I have no clue. I didn't see it. From my point, we're all good. Okay, you say, there's a video on cloning on YouTube. The Cloning Center talks about it openly. It's no secret, right? No secret. Again, so many, the things that what I speak of, I know they may jar people and shock people, but I'm like, literally, the information's just there. All you got to do is look at it. Literally. RuPaul, you say, I feel my sister is a program entity and my father is an influencer, strong entity. I feel my mother is source fractal, suffering due to surroundings. I don't know about mine. Well, yeah, let's have a look here. RuPaul's sister is a source fractal. No? No, her sister is a source fractal, yes. Her mother is a source fractal. Her father is an entity of suffering and pain. So, yes, that is what I got for you there, RuPaul. Your sister is a... Oh, no, sorry. Your sister is an Entity source fractal. Yes, that's it. Sorry, my bad. An entity source fractal is an entity that has been born into this world, but their memories have also been erased. So they believe they are source fractals too. I was wondering, I'm like, that doesn't feel quite right. I know yeah. So she is an entity. So she's being able to be swayed very easily between either the love or the darkness. So if she takes more so to your father, who is an entity of suffering and fear and pain, then she is no doubt going to be quite the same. However, if you were to overpower her with love, then it would be like, oh, she's love. Oh, see, this is the only thing. Now I have everybody asking about their family members. But I really, really do want to get on to the other questions because I only have so much time before I have to go. So what I'm going to ask you to do is whoever is asking about their family members now, so Johan, Iris, I'm going to do this for you. When you get your pendulum, I'm going to touch you on the shoulder, okay? I'm going to send my energy to you. And this is for anybody. If you want to know about your family members, I want you to say, Kulipup, help me identify if my family member is a program, an entity, or a source fractal, okay? I'm going to play, when you ask this question, I'm going to place my hand on you, and you're going to feel some surges in your pendulum, and you're going to know it's me, okay? And then I want you to ask the question, all right? I don't mind confirming if you like, although I'm sure I won't need to. But I'm going to do that for you guys there because I do want to get on to the other questions. Okay, so, oops, shit. I am going to get on to the other questions now because I was supposed to finish this 20 minutes ago because I promised I wasn't going to make a really, really long one, but it's happening. So, Beta asks the next few questions. How much is too much? Are wireless devices like printers bad, cell phones, Fitbits, smartwatches, microwaves, killing the nutrition in the food? Does it harm us in other ways? I heat up my heating pad when I'm cold. Does this emit radiation when I put it on my body? What do you think? To be honest with you, anything that works on a Wi-Fi system is not really good for you. The Wi-Fi frequencies, the waves, are terrible. They disrupt so much of your body. If your device is on a 5G, that's even worse. These waves literally disrupt your frequency, causing you to be more susceptible to your conscious and subconscious entities. They literally mess with your frequency. So they do the same things as earrings. So if you think, or earrings and jewelry. So if you think that you have a lot of jewelry on, you know, people who are heavily clad with bangles and necklaces and all of these kinds of things, when you are around your Fitbits, your smartwatches, your cell phones, microwaves, yeah, same kind of thing. When you're around all of these different frequencies, they do cause damage to your waves, to your frequency in itself. They are interfering with your frequency. How to combat this is by ingesting, consuming, or vaping or smoking cannabis. That helps to balance your frequencies back out or nullify some of the waves that are going through, helping you get through this. So what is appropriate? Well, I think personally, I would totally suggest not using Wi-Fi or not using any of these things unless you really need it. Do you have a smartwatch? You have a smartwatch, a Fitbit, and a cell phone. Basically, one device can do all of these things, but yet we're multiplying the devices we have that do the same thing, right? It doesn't really make a lot of sense. You know, but I'll tell you what I do. I have my phone, and I have my Wi-Fi router and my box, right, the things, and then I use my my computer, and I use my Android box when I want to watch Rick and Morty, because I like that show, Rick and Morty. If you don't know what Rick and Morty is, I implore you to look up Rick and Morty and watch a few episodes. It's adult cartoon humor. It's very bland, but they have some great points in it, so I really, really enjoy that. Get past the first 2 episodes and you'll totally get what I mean. But anyway, so when it comes to these things, I turn off my phone at night, or I turn it on airplane mode, or I turn the Wi-Fi off, because I don't like to sleep next to Wi-Fi. I do not, you know, I don't watch a lot of TV. I watch an episode of Rick and Morty, but then I generally put on some relaxing beach music on a dark screen, or some tunes or something on the TV. I have approximately, if I'm not working here, I have approximately 4 hours of exposure a day and nothing more, because I don't like the signals there. Same thing with the microwave, same thing with these things. I just tend to get out of the way. I don't like to stand directly in the microwave. If I warm something up, I put it on and then I move. I go out, maybe I'll do something else or go to another part of the room, these kinds of things. Because again, too much of these things are harmful for you. Okay, so what do we got? Ebony, you say, my kiddos don't understand why I naturally don't want Wi-Fi. It's so neutral. I so neutral on it. Honestly, is rather watch DVDs for entertainment, right? Each to their own, right? If you like DVDs, personally, I like everything off, but I do like to listen to music, right? With my little playlists on YouTube. So each to their own. I just try to reduce it as much as I can because it is harmful. It is harmful. If you don't have to use it, then don't. That's my recommendation on it. If you don't have to use it, then just physically don't. There's no point in having your Wi-Fi on, your 5G on, your TV on, your smartwatches, your Fitbits, your printers, everything on if you're not using it. Because you're just flooding yourself with this. Now, sorry, I'm getting... Oh, Lupe was just talking to me and he's like, oh, Kulipup, I want you to remind them to also take their jewelry off because along with the signals and everything, this does not help anybody, okay? The metal does interfere with your frequency, so remove jewelry when you are not in use of it. You know, like if you have earrings in all the time, just take them out. Don't put anything on until you're physically leaving the house, or don't put anything on ever anyway. Right? If you really want your abilities to be super, like, on point and you want your mind to constantly be clear, remove these things. Be within your own frequency and don't let your frequency be interfered with by anything else. Okay, so let's have a look here. Angie, you say, this may be a dumb question, but you speak of cannabis. I do not like the feeling of being high. Is there an alternative for me or a certain kind you would recommend? Yes, I definitely recommend trying sativa. For one, everybody is so, like, the whole market is so flooded with the indica cannabis, which does give you a very lethargic high, and it's horrible. I can't stand it. I'm like, no, I feel like I'm a walking zombie, so I hate it. However, a sativa, right? A sativa is meant for balance. It picks you up or brings you down depending on what you need. So, for example, if I'm way too much in my head, and I can't seem to stop thinking about things, I will have some sativa because it still gives me my energy, but brings me down so I'm not focusing on too many unnecessary points. However, if I'm feeling quite, or just bored or just like, which I don't really often, but I know I have felt like that in the past, a sativa then will bring me up to be like, yeah, I'm no more, I'm more like, So it's great that way. Now, if you do not like the high, if you're just like, no, I don't like high in general, I don't care what it is, even if it makes me feel fabulous, I don't want it. So, sorry, I'll give you an example. Having a sativa is like being on a cold and having neocitrin, but getting your energy back and going, you know what? I have a cold, but my nose isn't running, and I feel like going for a run. Yes, this feels lovely, but your body's healing at the same time. And nothing bad is going on, but your body is healing. So that's what it's like to be on a sativa when you are unbalanced. Now, what I do recommend is, of course, if you do not want to vaporize it or smoke it or decarboxylate it to get the kind of effects, then eat it. Eat it in your salad. Right? It's so simple. Just grow it, take the leaves off, and just pop it in your salad. It is incredibly nutritious. The extra cannabinoids that will give you such a boost to your already cannabinoid system is amazing, right? Have hemp instead. If you want to consume it, literally have hemp. Grow hemp, eat hemp, and feel the wonderful benefits that come with it, because the only thing that happens with this amazing plant is health and happiness. Literally, okay? The bullshit about cannabis being horrible is just such bloody bullshit. Susan, bless, don't have it so strong. Cannabis, I don't like the smell. Oh, or I have sativa, so it's different. Yes, have sativa. And I'll tell you what I do, you guys. I don't like, you know, really strong cannabis. I mean, I really don't like strong cannabis. I prefer it to be a lot more mild. So what I do is I mix my cannabis with some lavender flower. So I go to Bulk Barn, which is just like a bulk food store, you know, that's here. And I get lavender flowers and I get mint as well, crushed mint. And what I do is I roll it in, like I take a little bit of cannabis, I take a little bit of lavender, and I take a little bit of mint, and I mix it all together, and it's this beautiful herb mixture. And so when I do smoke it or vaporize it, it literally the lavender puts me into a lovely relaxing mood. The mint helps my chest and my lungs. It's wonderful. Mint is great for that. It helps bring clarity. And of course my cannabis helps to normally it's bringing me down because I'm way too high. High in terms of in my head. Looking at analyzing every different problem, everything that's going on in my life and everybody's life and everything. So it's like, okay, Kulipup, you need to calm the frick down right now and just focus on what's important. So that's what I have. Angie, you say, this is not legal in Indiana yet, so will this show up on a drug test? It will if it's in your system. However, you know, Kulipup's just like, I don't follow any laws of man. I follow only the laws of nature or natural law. So whether somebody says to me it's legal or not, I'm like, who made that law? Literally, who made that law? Somebody who does not know anything about it. Or the ones who really made the law know exactly how useful it is and want to suppress it at every turn because they realize that the pharmaceutical industry, the oil industry, clothing and so forth would all be completely abolished. You know, because hemp can be used for absolutely anything. Sorry about that, you guys. So that's what we got there. Now, Harwick, do you only vaporize it or can you burn the mixture too? No, I literally put it in, I roll a spliff. I roll a spliff and I just burn it the same way that. I enjoy it that way. That's the way I do enjoy it. So that's the way I go with it as well. And I really implore you to give it a go. Again, a sativa. Don't do indica. Don't do indica. Do a sativa. Get a sativa and try a little bit. Mix it in with the lavender and the mint. Like I mentioned, you will have this beautiful fragrance of flowers, like peppermint flowers, and you just feel amazing. And it's not very hard. It's very smooth and it's very nice. So I really, really recommend that. Let's have a look here. So I did want to... I am going to touch on just a couple more things and then I actually do have to go. So I'm still in Reiki learning group. After this morning's live, it seems pointless, but wanted to run something by members to see what you think. Reiki is, for me, the preschool form of healing. You can learn Reiki, you can practice Reiki, but it is still like basic introductory level 1 to healing. Okay? Literally, that is what Reiki is. I am more than happy to take you beyond level 1 of basic introductory preschool level 1 healing to some real healing, and I'll do it for you for free. Okay? All you gotta do is show up, listen, and connect. So Reiki, is this something that is worth paying for? Personally, I don't think so. It's a lovely massage to your energy. Does it actually heal? Not really. The same way a massage will be wonderful for that day or for a couple of days, but then the aches and pains come back. So that is what I look at in terms of Reiki, right? It's great for the moment, but then the aches and pains still come back and you really need some healing afterwards. So it's kind of like, oh, is it worth it? Personally, I don't think so. I would just rather heal. So that's what I've got on there. Next question. Admins are really pushing a lot of shielding techniques. My question, do we need it? As we raise vibrations, do we need to protect ourselves from those that may be drawing energy from us? If we have source energy, then there would be an unlimited supply of it, right? Right. Okay. When it comes to shielding techniques, if you are in the lower frequencies, if you are still within level 1 and you have not gotten your crown, then yes. I would say doing some shielding techniques is very, very, very good. You can do this via doing spells, spell casting, inciting your will, becoming knowledgeable, and literally, thank you for so much love there, Ali. You can do these things. Now, once you get into level 2, or once you've gained your crown, you no longer need to do that. Or put it this way: if you are in physical frequency level 10 or below, okay, yes, do some shielding techniques. You can cut your ethereal cords through visualization. You can do your inner work to stop the constant progression of the negative energy coming out. Thank you so much, Ali. You are proper giving me some love there. Thank you. You can do these things. Now, once you reached level 11, PF 11 and above, you really don't need to do very much more at this point, because anything in level 1 and below can't really touch you at that point. Okay? Especially you've got your crown. Ain't nothing going to hurt you. Okay? As we go up into level 2 and beyond, that is when you don't necessarily need shielding techniques. Now you got to start playing the game. Now you got to recognize that you are playing chess, and you need to start playing chess as well. Your opponent makes a move, you make a counter move. Your opponent makes a move, you don't dwell on it, you make a counter move. Okay? That is what level 2 is like. So not necessarily shielding techniques, but now you got to go through strategy. Okay? And development through your strategy. So I hope that answers the question. And yes, source energy, there is an unlimited supply of it, but only if you are living in love and light. Love and light will generate more love and light. However, if you are making moves in your game of life that support negativity, then that energy is not unlimited. You will run out, because you are either generating love and light or you are generating negativity. Love and light replenishes itself, so the more you generate, the more you have. The more negativity you have, just the lower your energy stores go until you have nothing left. Okay? So it's technically, it is unlimited as long as you are living in love and light. So again, be good and get your tactics right. And lastly, has anyone done a reading for an entity? Should we do them? If not, how do you say no? Lady wants a relationship reading. I can do this based on Akashic records, but if she doesn't have a soul, I will not find anything there. So how do I handle this request? Okay, this is what I do. So for one, I do not invite entities to find me. So that I'll just put that out there first. So if you are opening yourself up to the public, what I want you to do is I want you to say, let those source fractals who need me find me. Okay? Source fractals who need me find me. Okay? That way you are going to naturally eliminate a lot of entities that will want to find you for a reading. You may have one or two slip in because they were friends of somebody who came to it, but generally you should be able to go to bypass that. Now, let's say if you didn't. Let's say if you didn't. And you now have an entity in front of you. Well, what I would do with that entity is it depends. If they were an entity of fear or hate or suffering, I would say, I'm really sorry, I can't pick up your energy. Good day. Try another reader, right? I would literally just be like, oh, I'm really sorry. There's sometimes I can only read what I can decipher, and right now I don't have anything on you, so I'm going to stop it. However, if you have an entity that is one of neutrality or light, because you do have some entities who are there for encouragement and so forth, to a certain level, they are the higher frequency entities. At that point, I only read based on the questions that are asked and what I can see in the path that is there. So I don't go into past lives, I don't go into anything besides the very surface level basics with that. So for example, if somebody said an entity came with me, I'm not going to give them all the information about source fractals and, hey, this is what's going on. I'm going to be like, hey, what can I help you with? I want to know if my marriage is going to be okay. Okay, I'll check your timeline. And that's it. And I'll check their timeline. And I'll give them whatever information is there. And then bada bing, bada boom, we're done. Right? So then I'm going to say my spell to make sure no more entities come to me. Stephanie, you say, hi, anything from my nan and granddad, please. They got killed in a car accident together. Oh, Stephanie, sweetheart, I am so sorry to hear about your grandparents. However, my dear, this is not a reading. This is more so for information and gathering. If there is anyone who does want a reading, please pop over to the Frequency 51 Psychic Readings, Life Coaching, and Guidance page. Okay, please, if you want a reading, so Stephanie, my sweetheart, if you do want a reading, please pop over to that page, and we'll have some of the most wonderful and full of love individuals seek to help you out and connect there. But unfortunately, I can't do it on this live today. Now, that is what I have for you, because I've gone now nearly 45 minutes over the time that I was supposed to complete this with. So just as a recap, if you found this information useful, please share it. Please share it. Let us share this knowledge. If you want to return the energy back to me, please share it. That is wonderful. And for those of you, by the way, who have made donations for me, and you've shared your monetary donation, your monetary energy with me, I love you for it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That is very, very much so appreciated, because it's true, I don't get paid for any of this. But I'm not asking for it either. But I just thank you. It's very appreciated. Very, very appreciated. And I love you so much, you know, just to see that part of your heart and the way you wanted to return it. And if you didn't, that's okay. For those of you who have shared my lives and shared the information out there, I thank you so much. Because again, the more people we touch, the more people we can heal. The more people we can heal, the more we can change this damn world. And also as well, so tomorrow I'm going to be doing some more lives, so please keep your questions going, but tomorrow is going to be more so readings, so we're going to be dealing with more personal issues tomorrow and healings, and so on as well. So that will be done on my profile, so if you can, if you haven't already, please do add me. It's kulipup.source.truth. And send me a friend request. I will totally add you, and then you can get more of my regular live readings and live guidance that I do on there too. So thank you so much. Have a great day, you guys. Bye.